So welcome to another video. It's Sam from Sam's Garden Maintenance. I thought I'd just take some time today, instead of showing you my face or bits of other stuff that's not too interesting, I'll show you the lovely countryside around me on the way to a job, and I'll also discuss on how I started my gardening business. This isn't a video on how you should start your gardening business, but this is how I got to be in the position where I could start my own business, and it's doing relatively okay, in air quotes, because it'll never be perfect, there'll always be ups and downs, but at this moment in time I'm very happy. So yes, I'm 32, and about five or 6 years ago I used to work at Holiday Park, and good job, very good, they left me to it, but when I say the place was ran on a shoestring budget really does not cut it. There was not much stuff there, and they expected everything to be maintained, and you can look at it as well, maybe they took advantage, or maybe they didn't, or maybe it was my fault, maybe it was their fault, but little bits and bobs needed doing. They had no hand tools, nothing. So I bought some hand tools to get me going, and that's what I maintained the grounds. And then one of the lads on the site was like, "Oh, I've got a mower. I'll sell it to you for like 30 quid." I was like, "Yeah, okay then." So I bought the mower, and then I thought, you know what? I had to sweep all the patios off, and it was a faff. You know what? I'll get a blower. So I treated myself to a blower, and I was looking after their part fine. And then over the years, little bits started coming in where I basically had enough where if I wanted to, I could sort of do it. So I thought, you know what? I will post some leaflets. So this is why I was working full time. So I posted some leaflets and a few ads, and I just word of mouth sort of thing, and then the customers just started coming in. People would ring me, not huge amounts, not like mass hysteria for people wanting SGM-garden services. It was a couple of calls a week, and then there'd be nothing, but these soon started mounting up. And when you're working full time and you only have 2 days off in the evenings, you start getting a relatively big, you start booking up really quickly. So that's how it started. So for a few years I was doing both, and always going well. And then the end of last lockdown, it had been brewing for a good while, because they left you to it. And then when things weren't right, as in, why is this looking the state it was? Well, you don't want to spend any money on it. Well, this isn't good enough. And then the micromanaging, and you know what? It was a job I couldn't progress in. So one tip I could say to you guys, if you're in a job where you don't feel like you can progress, and you're always going to be sort of treading water, like I did, where it wasn't the best, it was a job, and he also had money problems, so it was always the knife edge of, will I go bump again, or will I lose my job? So I wasn't in a stable position where I could get a mortgage because of that. The money itself wasn't too good. So for me it was a bit of a no-brainer just to say, you know what, I will leave. So yeah, 5 years I did there, never had time off, always worked the weekends, no problem. And I gave them a couple of weeks notice, because that's what I wanted to give. They were fine with that, but they were a bit shitty in places with certain things, but well, that's their prerogative. But I did my job, did 2 weeks, did exactly what they wanted, and I left. And wow, it's sort of the thought of leaving a full-time job, even though it was a terrible full-time job, and it had really shitty jobs at the time, it was still a full-time job, it was still a routine. So I left that routine, and yeah, I was like, well, what do I do? So I rung around all the old gardening customers I've done work for in the past, ring up very informal. Hi, it's Sam from Sam's Garden Maintenance. I've got a few spaces in my dam, just wondering if there's anything you need doing. And you know what? People were like, yeah, actually, yeah, I was just about to do this, but can you do this for me? Or, oh yeah, oh, I haven't, but my neighbour needs something. So I went from 2 days work to 3 or 4 days a week. I was like, wow. And then I put an advert in the paper. That, by the way, I'll talk about this in an upcoming video, for me has been one of the best forms of advertising I can ever think of, because it attracts the customers that I want to attract, and I'll explain that more. But yeah, so it went from nothing, 2 days, to 5 days all of a sudden. Sorry, 3 or 4 days, and I still had bits of time off. But yeah, so I got my head down, started learning how to do things. I tried to go down learning how to do the books myself, but I never bothered in the end. Somebody told me, Luke, just get an accountant, and that's what I did. But no, I got my head down, worked as much as I could, and luckily I got to the position where I could start saving money and getting more and more kit, what I needed, and that's what I did. I already had enough, but it's like the old mower, it wasn't too good, so I thought, you know what, I'll get a new mower. And that's what I did over time, just creeped and crawled. So if you're in the same position as me, as either you hate your job, or you don't really like your job, or you want a new challenge, or you're thinking about doing it, is play it safe. Try and do both if you can. Obviously for me at the time, I didn't have a young family or anything, it's just me, so time was more easily able to, I was more able to do what I wanted in my spare time. But for you guys, but even then, if you just know you've got one full day out of the week, that could be £200. That's £800 a month. That's okay. It's not gonna like sustain you long term, but still you've got that little bit of a step. It has, and that's what I can say to you. Just start creeping and crawling. You don't have to buy all the equipment at once. Like, I stuck to one brand. I use nearly all still. I wouldn't say it's the best out there, but it's the best I've found. So just stick with what you know. Don't look at other gardeners, because although I have 5-6 days work on most weeks, I'm not the gardener, and you'll never hear me say it, and I've never had it. I wish I did. But some gardeners you listen to, where they'll say, oh, the phone's ringing non-stop, it's constantly ringing, people are always asking me. I don't get that. I never have. I probably get 5 or 6 inquiries a month maybe, but I normally get those 5 or 6 inquiries. As in, I give them my price, I tell them what I'm going to do for them, I ask them what they're going to do, I tell them a bit about my services, and most of the time, 90% of the time, I get the job no problem. So again, don't feel a bit put off when people are saying, oh, my phone's ringing off the hook, and if you don't get that, well, I've never had that, never. So it's just one of them. It really is. It's not everybody has the same. Like my customers, I'm not picky per se, but I am. There's customers I want to work for, and there's customers I don't really want to work for. I'm not interested in the people that the first question they ask is how much you charge an hour, because in my opinion, you give them your hourly price and they don't want to hear it, because they don't earn what I'm going to say I want to charge an hour. They're not interested, and if they do, they will hold you to that hour. Even if you're there 40 minutes, they will hold you to do that. And I have made all these mistakes. In future videos, I'll be discussing the pros and the benefits and the pros and cons of hourly paid. I think hourly paid is the way to go when you're first starting out your business. But do I think it's good long term? Hell no. No way. It will hold you back. It will not affect your business. It will make it so it plateaus. It will never make it where you can go up and up if you stick to hourly rate, but I'll discuss that because that has happened to me. Like, I was the guy, stupidly, where I'd be like, yep, anything you want doing, I do it at £15 an hour. So that was shimming up trees, mowing lawns, edging, cutting big edges, gutter cleaning, you name it, all these premium services what other people would just price per job. There was me doing it per hour. And yes, people knew they had a good deal and they held on to it. And it's very hard to shift that now that you've said this to people. I have a very high customer retention rate. I've still got my first customers from when I first started 5 or 6 years ago. So, but as I said, I will discuss the pros and cons of hourly. I'll discuss the pros and cons of pricing per job. But again, if you're starting out, I would recommend starting per hour. As long as you cover your costs and add profit, because at the end of the day you are a business, then that's all you can do. It is. But as I said, me, I started 5 or 6 years ago, built it up slowly, word by mouth, newspaper advert every so often. I had 2 full days plus evenings, and then lockdown hit. It wasn't because of lockdown, it was because of micromanagement, the BS world. I just could not be bothered with it, and I just left, gave him a notice, started, and it's just gone from strength to strength. As I say, don't be put off if you hear other people saying about, oh god, yeah, and this isn't a slant on them at all. No way. If you've got your business to that point, you've done really well. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but at the same time, as long as you're earning decent money and you're covering your cost and you're happy in what you do, then you're not losing and you're not losing out. But probably the next video, I will probably discuss the pricing per hour and the pros and cons of it, and how I made that mistake. I have touched up on it, and I'll tell you why I think it's held my business back in terms of growth and productivity, and I will tell you how it can, maybe, as I say, all the opinions are my own. This is never going to be me telling you exactly what you should do. Listen to what I say. If you think I'm an idiot, fair enough. If you think I've got some grains of truth, then take what you want from them. But this is never going to be a how-to. This is never going to be a how do I run a business perfect. If I do what Sam does, I'll have the same business. You could do, you probably couldn't. But yeah, we'll go from there. And I hope you enjoyed the beautiful drive. I hope you enjoyed me rambling on. I'm hoping to get another video up probably in the next few days, this sort of style. Don't expect to see me mowing lawns and cutting edges, because although I will try and include that in, this is more going to be the business side. This is the stuff that when I was looking, again, all those years ago, I could never find the information online. If I did, it was stateside or Australia, which, okay, you can get some good info from. It's never going to be as good as, or it's never going to be as relevant, shall I say, as somebody who has started from the bottom. But yeah, that's enough ramblings from me. Have a good day. Enjoy this beautiful weather. And if you're working on a Sunday like I am, then well, don't you have too much fun now. Right, Sam's out.